After a 6-month investigation, Reno police are calling the so-called Straightedgers a gang, and for good reason. They've been accused of enforcing their opposition to smoking and drinking by force. How ridiculous is that? Sometimes assaulting those who break their rules with pepper spray or brass knuckles. The cops say some of them are so determined to prove their point that they've allegedly even committed kidnapping or worse. Joining us now is Gordon Clayton. In 1998, about 30 straight-edge gang members attacked his 15-year-old stepson, Bernardo Represa. Bernardo was beaten with a club, stabbed in the stomach. One of his attackers was quoted as saying, "Take that, Spick," before the kid died. Gordon, I understand, were they acquitted of this assault?
No, two of them, the one with the baseball bat who knocked him unconscious was found guilty, and the straight-edger, Karl, who stood over him and stabbed him as he was unconscious, he was also found guilty. One assailant, the one that hit him with a spring billy in the arm, he's the one that said, "Take this, Spick." That's Sean Darger, and he was found not guilty.
So what did you know about the Straightedgers prior to this brutal attack on your stepson?
I had no idea anything about them.
And when you were told that they enforce this violence against smokers and drinkers, that they use, some of the most hideous criminal conduct imaginable to enforce basically their own morality, what was your reaction, Gordon?
I was shocked to look at them. You know, it's every parent's dream. Man, my kid's going to be, so straight. But unfortunately, there's bad apples, and they're very violent in groups.
Well, joining Gordon and me now is Lieutenant Doug Cardwell from the Reno Police Department. And we're also joined by straight-edge singer, many of them have bands, Karl Buechner. Is that how you say it, Karl?
It's actually pronounced Beuchner, and my band is called Freya.
Freya, okay. Well, Karl, let me start with you. What don't we get about the Straightedgers?
Well, one of the things that's disappointing to me is that the media only seems to want to come and report on these types of incidences that involve some straight-edge people.
But don't you think they're newsworthy, buddy? Don't you think they're newsworthy?
When these violent things happen, they are newsworthy. However, I think it's important for your viewers to note that straight edge has existed for over 25 years. It's a worldwide movement. There's tens of thousands of people that are part of it. Many of them are musicians, they're filmmakers, they're artists. They're extremely productive. They are their parents', dream children, in the sense that the vast majority of them are law-abiding. They're living a positive life. And these stories, what's coming out of Salt Lake and Reno, they're the rarity.
Okay, let me ask, let's go to Reno and Lieutenant Doug Cardwell. What do you think about what Karl said? Why have you labeled these guys gangbangers?
Well, I agree with what he said. Most of the people who claim the straight-edge philosophy are law-abiding citizens. However, there is a small percentage of them that are violent, and they are committing dangerous criminal acts. And, of course, we have to respond to that. And part of our responsibility is to advise the public, the parents, so that they can take the appropriate action to make sure their children don't get caught up in this.
All right, tell us what they are caught up in. Tell us the crimes that they are involved in, allegedly, in Reno that caused this action.
It was almost exactly 2 years ago. We got this story from the victims, the witnesses, and several of the defendants. 8 kids that claimed the straight-edge affiliation were angry at one of the local students, so they intended to go to a party and look for that person and beat him up. These 8 people went to the party with black bandanas over their faces. They were armed with pepper spray, brass knuckles, at least one knife, and at least one baseball bat with nails embedded in it. They could not find that subject, but another student, another kid at the party, told them he knew a person at the party who was close friends with the person they wanted. So they essentially forced that person to go with them and threatened to beat him with that baseball bat with the nails in it and to stab him if he would not cooperate and call his friend. So this, we'll call him victim number 1. He called his friend to respond to a dark location. This was at night. When that friend pulled up in a car, there were 4 people in the car. They all got out. At that time, there were between 12 to 15 straight-edge members hiding behind a building. They had black bandanas on their faces. They were armed with pepper spray, brass knuckles, at least one knife, and several baseball bats. They rushed out, and 3 of the victims ran away. 2 others got into the car, locked the doors, and held the doors closed. The Straight Edge members knocked out all the windows in the car, flattened the tires, and inflicted over $6,000 in damage to the vehicle. They sprayed pepper spray in the car, trying to get the 2 kids out. They reached through the broken window and struck them with brass knuckles and the bat. They couldn't get a good swing, so there was no serious injury involved in this particular case.
Karl, it sounds, give me a break, man.
Like I said before, this is the exception of the rule. There's
did you profess your outrage at this? Did you call? Did anyone speak out within the straight edge movement to say, these were sick minority within the law-abiding majority? Did anyone condemn what happened?
Well, my band did a DVD about 5 years ago, and I did an interview in that, and I very specifically said, when I was growing up, I knew 2 people who I was friends with who were out of control. They were very violent. They ended up going to prison, and I wanted to use that as an example to say to kids.
Say it right now. Say it right now. What happened in Reno sucks, man. Why don't you just say it, Karl? Spit it out. Spit it out. What happened in Reno really was a lousy thing for these kids to do. And they embarrass me as a straight edger, and they are making it tough for all of us. Why don't you just say it?
I don't want them to throw their lives away. Hardcore is a brotherhood. Straight edge is a brotherhood. I don't want them to throw their lives away over a squabble that they're having with someone that 4 years after high school they're never going to see again. It's not worth doing something like that, throwing someone's life away and spending, time in prison. It's not worth it.
Gordon Clayton, comment.
It's hard to say. Like I said, I'm only involved with the Salt Lake City situation. I've heard Ohio and New York has also had some problems. I just know that they attack in numbers.
They attack in the swarm. Okay. Just very briefly, Lieutenant Cardwell, final thoughts.
Well, you hear the strict moral teachings of the straight edge. It's interesting to note that one of the subjects that was arrested for this attack I just described had 2 containers of marijuana on him when he was arrested. He had a scale and a ledger book, yet he was associating with straight edge. So I just don't buy the fact that that everyone in that movement is trying to lead a moral life.
Okay, Lieutenant Doug Cardwell, Karl, thank you, and your group, Frida, and Gordon Clayton, thank you.